for all parents who have a young boy at home, preteen, interested in video games, interested in YouTube and video creation, I want you to listen to this this conversation. So this is a submission from the 2-minute assessment on my website at theeducationgame.com. It's a real quick assessment of where a family and child is. And so this parent learned about me through LinkedIn, and she has a 2-year-old or someone around 2, and then another 10 to 13-year-old. The 10 to 13-year-olds are really who we're going to be talking about today. So she currently attends, let me shrink me here. She currently attends a K-12 traditional school, a traditionally modeled school, which oftentimes leads to all sorts of challenges. And so we'll get to some of those here. Actually, really consistent challenges, but again, we'll talk about them. Here is the big question. When we talk about the traditional model of schooling, it doesn't give the parent or child any real authority to decide how the child is going to learn, what they're going to learn about, what the subjects will be, et cetera. And that's really one of the biggest fundamental problems within education. There are young men, young women all around the world who love things, who want to learn about things, but they're not given the freedom to do so because the institution of school requires that everyone go through education at the same pace, learning roughly the same information at a certain age, when we know all too well that there are some kids that really love certain areas, but they don't get a chance to do it. That's a problem. I would argue that's actually a civil right issue. We won't get into that right now. Here, this mom is saying that she has almost none. The child has almost no authority over their learning, and I'm arguing that is the biggest problem that this mom is going to face right now. So right here, she also says, in what areas is your child curious? She says he's really interested in gaming and YouTube videos and how games are made right now. And again, let me pause. I hear this interest area a ton because it's about creativity, it's about competition, it's about enjoyment. And so when your child is saying that they're interested in these areas, games, videos, etc., my argument that the real challenge is not should they be on screens or not, because that's a conversation I've had in the past. It's really, are they producing or are they consuming? And so if your child is consuming video games and social media or videos, TikTok, YouTube, etc., then they are wasting a large amount of their capacity and their ability. But if they're producing, now they are learning a skill. And that skill is going to be incredibly valuable. It's already valuable. So the question I would put to you, Mom, is when you think about this question, that you have very little, you and your child have very little authority over your child's learning. Then you go to this question, which is your child has areas of interests. Again, gaming, YouTube videos, how games are made. Oh my gosh, there's a whole multi-billion-dollar industry. I mean, it's incredible how much money goes into video games and how games are made. And there's music, there's storytelling, there's videography, there's tech. I mean, every topic is captured in these areas. So my question to you, Mom, is how do we create the conditions where your child is deepening their ability to produce in the areas of interest to them? That's the question. Deepening their ability to produce in the areas of interest to them. And so if that is, maybe that's how I would kind of summarize your challenge right now. You've got a child who's showing interests, but is not able to explore it. And at some point soon, your child is likely going to revolt, because every young person who knows what they enjoy doing, but never get a chance to do it, is just like an adult who knows what they want to do, but never get a chance to do it. Two things will happen. Either they will withdraw and just kind of quit, or they will get angry. And so this is a real problem. I would argue that this is the main problem. So let's go ahead and go through some of these, but we kind of know what these are going to look like. So are they more curious? Is there learning in their areas of curiosity? Some, not much. Do they respond with more curiosity? Some. Is your child growing more curious? Somewhat. These are all good. I want to keep pushing them towards the high end. Definitely getting more curious. Definitely responding with greater curiosity when you fail. Why did that happen? Why did this fail? What could I have done differently? Those are the questions that we want kids to ask, not what oftentimes happens, which is they they withdraw or quit, right? Okay. You've answered all these questions exactly how I would encourage. You want a child who recognizes that their effort matters. It's not just about what they were born with. You want a child who can think critically. In our world right now, with so much media coming at us, the ability of a young person to be able to critically look at content and go, that doesn't make sense, or I'm going to challenge that, I'm going to poke holes in the logic, that's going to insulate them from a ton of online trolls and online misinformation. A child who's curious is a lifelong endeavor. A straight A student, that stops the minute they stop getting graded. And of course, a child who has a clear purpose for their life, that means they know where they're going. And so again, you don't need to get in front of them and coach them and push them along because they know where they're going. Now, here's again the question that, again, a lot of parents answer it this way, that they feel like they have a pretty good understanding of the technological advances and how they're reshaping community, work, and education. The answer to this is we're all in this 4 and 5 category, kind of the definitely no space, because technology is moving so quickly. Nobody, even the tech bros that I talk to, even they don't really know how things like ChatGPT, if you've not heard about that, you've got to Google ChatGPT. It's transformational. Nobody knows how that's going to actually play out. We know that there's going to be some risks, and we know there's going to be disruption, but nobody really knows. So on this question, my only answer to parents is we don't know. So you got to make sure your child is a learner, a voracious learner, because whatever change is happening, he or she is going to need to learn how to deal with that new environment. And if they are banking on their degree or what they learned 5 years or 10 years ago as the insulation in their life, they're going to be overrun. All right, let me continue. I'm preaching here. My apologies. Let's see. This next question. Is your child's education complete? Does it cover all the areas you feel they will need to be a successful adult? The answer here is very much no, and that is why you're emailing me. I want to help you figure this out, and really it comes down to this next question, which is your individual on purpose plan for learning. You don't have one. You need to build one, and if you build one, you can build one that touches on the learnings that your child is actually interested in. That is really the whole point and what education should be about. It shouldn't be about knowing in advance what a child's going to learn because they're 12. It should be, what is that 12-year-old really interested in, and how can we craft a learning plan that prepares that child for adult life? That's what education should be about. So the last one is, and this is your chief concern, you want your son to enjoy learning and not just feel like school is a place to have to do what's told, but also an opportunity to grow. You also want to make sure he has space and uses some of his energy at home to learn for himself, not because someone's telling him to do it. This, mom, is what every parent should be saying. And so I applaud you, because this is the right goal. Now the question is, how do you craft it? And this is your child at the age now where you can craft this with him. But we've got to really push back on the amount of oxygen that school sucks out of the room. So much time can be devoted to meeting the standards, meeting the expectations, getting the grades, and school doesn't leave a lot of time or energy to do anything else. And certainly after 7.5 hours of school, coming home at the end of the day, now doing the thing that you're really passionate about, that can get exhausting after a while. So what I would argue is, for you and for most of the parents I talk to, the real issue here is you've got to build your learning plan. And that plan is not built by you, parent. It's built with your son in the room, a conversation between the two of you all. I'm happy to help support that, of course, but that's ultimately the place where I'm trying to upskill you so you know how to do that on your own. So that's kind of what I would put to you, but I am super excited because your son has identified areas of interest to him. And if a child has identified that, then that means that that child soon can be off to the races, learning ridiculously fast and preparing themselves for a future that will almost certainly involve videography, gaming, and storytelling. So I hope this was helpful. If so, please let me know. And if not, please let me know what I missed and what you were hoping to hear, or what you would like to hear more of. I look forward to having a conversation with you. And of course, you're welcome to schedule time with me free of charge to have a conversation further. I wish you the very best. Keep fighting for your boy. Bye-bye.